For a fellow 22-year-old man from a prominent legal family in the low country of South Carolina, well, he was found shot to death last week, along with his mother. And now there are reports that investigators think that he may have been targeted for murder. The bodies of Paul Murdaugh and his mother, 52-year-old Maggie Murdaugh, were found in the family's sprawling hunting lodge property. And get this, the son, Paul, while he was facing trial in connection with the boat crash that killed a young woman 2 years ago. Ted Williams, former Washington, D.C. police detective, defense attorney, Fox News contributor, joins us. So, Ted, let me first sketch the backstory. It's pretty compelling. Paul, who was shot to death, he's been charged awaiting trial in the death of 20-year-old Mallory Beach. Mallory is a friend. Police say there was a night of drinking at an oyster roast in 2019. Mallory and Paul and other friends are on the boat when witnesses say Paul guns the boat. The boat hits a bridge piling. Mallory is tossed out. She drowns, her body found days later. And now someone shoots Paul. What does your gut say?
It's scary. It's a murder mystery, Eric. But when you connect the dots here, the fact that Paul had been charged in this, the death of Mallory Beach, the authorities there in South Carolina are trying to see if there's a nexus between that incident and the death of Paul Murdaugh. What we do know is that Paul Murdaugh allegedly was shot with a shotgun, and his mother, Maggie Murdaugh, was shot with an assault weapon. So they are looking at that kind of evidence as well as other physical evidence. But what is unique in this case, Eric, is that the authorities are saying that the public is not at risk, leading me to believe that they are focusing in on some specific targets.
You talk about the Murdaugh family. They had that sprawling estate. We're seeing video of it there. They go back, generations as being the leading legal family of that county, we're told. And you just pointed out something that's interesting. 2 different murder weapons. Does that tell us anything potentially about this? What would that say? The fact that one's an assault rifle and the other one is a shotgun.
Well, what it says in a preliminary manner is that clearly the target may have been Paul, and that again that Maggie, his mother, may have just been a victim of circumstance and was just there. So they're looking at not only the weapons that were used, but they're looking at the ammunition itself to try to use that as an identifier. The sad commentary about this, Eric, is that the patriarch of that family, Randolph Murdaugh, died several days after his daughter-in-law and grandson was killed.
The Beach family, they suffered this tremendous, horrible death of their daughter. And her mother is in court suing the Murdaughs and also the owner of a store where apparently they bought some liquor and this sort of thing. So you've got a intoxication. He's charged with 3 counts of intoxication, boating while intoxicated. You got a civil suit against him. Now he's murdered. Yet here's a statement from the Beach family that the Beach family lawyer put out. It's very sympathetic to the family. That says, quote, "The Beach family extends its deepest and warmest sympathies to the Murdaugh family during this terrible time. Having suffered the devastating loss of their daughter, of their own daughter, the family prays that the Murdaughs can find some level of peace from this tragic loss. It is their most sincere hope that someone will come forward and cooperate with authorities so that the perpetrator of these senseless crimes can be brought to justice." So at least publicly, the Beach family is expressing sympathies. But, some could say, or some would wonder, is there's someone who has an interest in this, would they have targeted and gunned down this young man because of the death of Mallory?
Eric, you're right on target, and that is certainly something that the authorities are clearly looking at. Is there a nexus between the death of Mallory Beach in 2019, when Paul Murdaugh was alleged to have been driving a boat, and the death of Paul Murdaugh at this immediate time? And they're looking into that. They're looking into other leads. But again, as I said before, I have to believe at this stage that they have more information than they're giving to the public. But one of the things that they're giving to the public is to let the public know that they are safe, that they believe that there is some targeted individual that they are looking at. And it should be, I say, sooner perhaps than later that an arrest is made in this case.
And Ted, finally, do authorities in this case, would you go get subpoenas for the Beach family, for their properties, see their weapons, pull the tapes on traffic cameras and surveillance tapes on stores to see, what vehicles are out there?
Eric, absolutely you would do that. You would definitely want to talk to the Beach family. You would also want to talk to friends of Mallory Beach. You would also want to see in the area in which the bodies were found, are there any audio or video tapes that they can utilize to try to bring the killer to justice?
Yeah, and was the door locked or unlocked? They may have known the killer. So they're investigating. Ted Williams, Ted, always good to see you. Thank you.
Same here, Eric.